again, everybody. This is Derek, and I'm coming back at you with another wargaming and miniature video. And in today's video, we're going to continue on with my American War of Independence project update. As you know, I am basing up some 15 millimeter figures for a game called Land of the Free, and I'm focusing on Freeman's farm to get me started, to get me a good collection, and then we'll expand from there. On the screen, you see my first British unit that I've completed. It is the 24th Regiment. The 24th Regiment was actually at Freeman's Farm, so that's actually a correct unit that's going to be used at Freeman's Farm. Not every unit that I put together is going to be correct. Some of them are going to have to be proxied. There's a lot of different things that I've come up with in the last few days for my American War of Independence project, and I'm going to share that with you. These figures are mostly Old Glory figures. The two standard bearers are Blue Moon. But everything else should be Old Glory. The flags are GMB. Bases are war bases. Okay, so you'll notice that, speaking of the bases, you'll notice that the front and side edges of these bases I painted black. Okay, so I went through I went down a little rabbit hole, and I went through all of the regiments that I've already completed, and I painted the fronts and sides black. And I decided that I was going to paint the back of the bases facing colors, specifically for the British, right? So like these guys have green facings, so I wound up painting the back of the base green. Let me show you the next regiment. All right, this is the next regiment. This is the 20th. And you'll notice the back of this base is painted with their facing color, which is yellow. And that's what I decided to do with all the British. I'm going to paint, well, you can tell by already looking at their facings, like their collars and cuffs and lapels. But I wanted to make it a little more easy to recognize which units are which when you're looking at your units from the back, because most gamers see the back of their units. Now these all are Blue Moon, so this was the Blue Moon figures. You can see they're the same standard bearers, but you can see the officer is carrying a musket, and these guys are all in their cocked hats, which are like a cross between a bicorn and a tricorn. It's kind of like, it's a bicorn, or maybe it's a tricorn, but the front has been flattened out. So that's what these guys are. Now the drummer obviously has the bear skin. Now, I decided to go ahead and do a standard size for all my British regiments. They're all going to be 3 bases, 18 figures. Now, which is basically 6 companies approximately. They would have a grenadier company and an elite like flanker company as well, but those are detached and consolidated to make a grenadier battalion and a light battalion. So I will be doing lights and the grenadiers separately. I had a good time doing these two. Now, okay, the standard here. The standard is not the 20th. I looked through all of my flags, and I did find a 20th from Cotton Gym, but Cotton Gym's flags were just a little bit too small. But it had the same appearance, almost exactly the same as this flag. And I think this is the 10th regiment. I think it's the 10th. When I was going through my GMB flags, I noticed there was a number of the flags that were mislabeled. The 20th, which should have a yellow flag like this, in the pack was actually a green flag. And when I used my magnifying glass and I really looked in on the regimental number on that flag, it was 47. So, or something like that. So so I decided to go through all my GMB flags and see which ones were mixed up and which ones weren't. And this 10th was actually labeled as something else as well. And so I went ahead and used it because I have a second flag package that actually has the exact same flag in it, and it's labeled as the 10th. So GMB had made a technical error in putting the right flags or numbering the right flags in their packages, but that's okay. You would never know the difference unless I mentioned it. All right, let me show you a couple more figures. All right, this is General Howe. I did all the British generals out of the Old Glory British General package. I think I mentioned that I was going to do the generals at the end of my last live stream or project update. That one there is a John Burgoyne, and he's the one I'm going to need for Freeman's Farm. He's the overall commander, and that's why I have him as a 2-horse base. 2-horse bases are basically division generals. And I have Cornwallis. Now, Cornwallis probably could have been put on a 3-horse base, but in some of the scenarios, he acts as a division general. You know, he's basically the overall commander with a couple of brigades under him. So I went ahead and just mounted him as a division. Now, I have like 3 gray horses, and this is one of them. I noticed this a couple of days ago, or I noticed this when I finished them, when I was doing the wash, and then when I did the dull coat and all that. I noticed that I didn't paint the reins. So I'll have to go back and paint the reins. But that shouldn't take me but maybe 2 minutes to do. So when you see a gray horse, just ignore the reins and the saddle straps and stuff like that. All right, there's William Meadows. I have a lot of brigade commanders, because all the rest of them are brigade commanders. Now, some of these generals are named, like all the division generals, they had personality names on them. Some of them didn't, and I just looked through my scenarios and I tried to figure out which generals were going to be needed by me, and so I went ahead and picked and chose. Now you'll notice that on his base, the edge is not painted black. John Vaughan. Now, John Vaughn is listed as a major general in the wikis, which a major general should be a division general. But in the scenarios, he must have been a brigadier general, not promoted yet, or he was a major general serving as a brigade commander. So I went ahead and just mounted him up as a brigade commander. James Grant. This is not the Civil War Union General Grant. This is James Grant, which he's also a major general. Now this is Simon Fraser, and Fraser is at Freeman's farm. He's actually in charge of the garrison, the grenadiers, and the light company or light battalion, and the fort that's on the hill. James Hamilton, not the American Hamilton. This is the British Hamilton. I really like this guy's pose. He has his sword out and he's lifting his hat. He's very animated. Okay, this is Charles Grey. Now, Charles Grey was the first Earl of Grey. He's got a little map in his hand. Now, I'm contemplating getting out a black pen or a very fine black paintbrush, and maybe drawing a few lines on the paper. It could be a dispatch, could be a map. I don't know. It's in his lap. So I'll just try to figure out what I want to do with that going forward. Now this one is Sir Henry Clinton. Now, some of these generals, I recognize their names from the Napoleonic periods, so like Clinton. So maybe he went on to fight in the Napoleonic Wars as well. Now, this one is James Agnew. Now, you'll notice that he's on an extremely dark horse. He has some kind of rolled up dispatch in his hand, like he's handing it off to a maybe messenger or something. It's kind of a unique model. All right, now remember, these are all Old Glory 15s. And that's Alexander Leslie. He also has a map or a dispatch in his lap. And he was the last gray horse that I did. I actually did my horses in 4 different colors. I did it in a nutmeg. I did it in a licorice. I did it in a light gray. Or maybe that's, light gray. And a bark brown. But you'll notice the reins are not banded. Now, the generals, I considered putting little tufts on them because their bases look very barren. Like it's a horse in them on a 40 millimeter base, but it needs a little bit more life. Now, I have stones mixed in with my flock, so there's a random chance that you'll actually get stones when you sprinkle the flock on, and I like that. I like the randomness of that. But that guy, he just looked real barren. Okay, so this is going to be a question for my audience, and you guys can come back and tell me what you think. But what I would want to show is, if you were on the looking at the table and not looking at the generals themselves, but the base, Do you like the fact that I painted the base black around the edges? Is it really necessary? Because the burn from the laser on the MDF is like a really dark brown, and I've been leaving them previously like that. Or sometimes, like in my World War II stuff, I'll paint them with like a Russian green or something, just so it'll match the table. But I like the black. I think it looks good. You'll have to tell me if you think it looks good as well. Like there's Benedict Arnold. I painted him black as well. Here's a base that's not been painted. Now I considered painting them like with divisional colors or regimental colors, like I'm doing with my infantry and cavalry. I'll eventually do it with the cavalry as well. But because it's a round base, I didn't want to paint like the front half or the front 3/4 black and then put like a strip of color. I was just going to paint them all black because you're not going to have that many generals on the table anyway. I don't know. I'm contemplating how I'm going to do that. I have the names on the bottom, so that should help, but I don't know. So I've got 8 regiments completed right now. I've got the Hessian Musketeers. I've got the 2 British regiments, the 20th and the 24th. And then I've got 5 Continentals. I got a militia, a Maryland, a Massachusetts, a Connecticut, and a New York. So technically, and I got all the generals I am ever going to need. But all right, guys, let's just talk a few seconds before I end the video about some interesting news about my project. Well, one thing, and I'm going to talk about this later when I do my store news update, but I did get a pair of these magnifying glasses. Comes with some lenses that you can just pull out and put in. It's got a headlamp. It's got a couple of different brightnesses, and it's got a battery indicator over here. It's made by, I'm not sure if I know how to say that, Dizzy Cooey or something like that. These guys are this is like the 3rd magnification. There's a 4th one maybe this is the 2nd magnification. This is 2.5. I now see it at the bottom of this case. I never saw this before. There's 3.5 and there's 5.0. And this is a 2.5, which I've been painting with that, and I've been getting pretty good visibility. It can be worn over your glasses. If you wear glasses, or at least me, if I wear glasses and I put that on there, I can hold the model like 6 inches away from my face, and it is really magnified. If I get further away, it gets blurry. So they have a different focal lengths for each one of those, which allows you to move it further away. Now 2.5, I've been taking my glasses off and painting at about 12 inches away, and it's perfectly clear. So I'm pleased with it. 3.5 might be a little bit too strong. I don't know. Well, I'll keep looking into that. But that's not really why I got excited. I do a lot of business through Old Glory. You already know that, right? Um, a lot of my models, either World War II, and not so much World War II. I have some Old Glory World War II, but I prefer other brands like the Flames of War. Have the best World War II infantry models that I found, I think. But I also use Forged in Battle and Plastic Soldier Company and Old Glory. But when it comes to musket games like Napoleonics or even Ancients, Napoleonics, AWI, I really like Old Glory because you can get an Old Glory pack and the figures in the pack for about 50 cents a figure. So I've been ordering Old Glory for all my life, really, and I've loved them. But I will branch out and I'll get Essex, or I'll get a minifig or something out there. But recently I discovered Blue Moon. Blue Moon, I really like their American War of Independence models. I think they're top notch. I really like them a lot. Now their price is a little bit more. I think they're 57 cents a figure, which I can live with that. That's 7 cents a that's no big deal, right? It's still approximately 50 cents a figure. The poses are a little bit different. They're not exact. I mean, they have less variety. There's not a whole lot of variations, but the ones you do get are really good. So I've ordered a few more just to see what they have something called the Saratoga pack. The British in Saratoga uniforms, which they have like they have a cap helmet looking thing, and with a feather out the back or horsetail or whatever it is. And a lot of the units, Burgoyne had ordered them to switch to that style for comfort and flexibility and all that kind of stuff. So Burgoyne was and the weather. So the British Army, or at least under Burgoyne in the Saratoga campaign, were dressed uniquely. Now the two units you just saw me show off were your standard regulation dress with the cocked hat and the long coat and all that, and the way the gaiters work and everything. They're like your standard, so they should be. I'm going to be able to use them in any battle, really, right? And I'm still going to be able to use the Saratoga models in any battle as well. That's not going to be a problem. Nobody's going to say, that's a Saratoga model. He's not supposed to be at Brandywine or whatever. I'm sure nobody's going to be like that. And if they are, I don't play with them. But my point is, I really wanted to do some British to get a little bit of both sides, right? So I went through and I made a spreadsheet with all the units on it. And I went through that are at Freeman's farm. And I researched each regiment to see what their uniforms were. And I came across the 21st, right? 21st is a Fusilier unit. They wear bearskins. Smaller than the Grenadiers, but still bearskins. And I was like, oh, I don't have any British Fusiliers. So I ordered some of those, got them in already. So I'm going to be able to do the 21st. I planned on doing the 9th, but doing my research, the 9th and the 9th and the 64th, I think is a regiment that I'm supposed to have. I noticed that all the reenactors, which I'm not sure if that's really a definitive source, but they're all wearing the Saratoga hats. And they say that they are modeled after the unit during the Saratoga campaign. So it's deliberate. But I also looked through some other sources that said that Burgoyne ordered all of his regiments to dress that way. So, and I said, well, I don't have any of those models. I don't have jack diddly poop with the Saratoga. But then I noticed that Blue Moon had the Saratoga uniform. So I ordered a pack. All you need to order when ordering from Blue Moon is you only need one infantry pack and one command pack. And that gives you, the infantry pack gives you 30 models and the command pack gives you 10 models. And enough in the command, enough to do 2 command stands. Because they give you 4 standards. So with the command pack and the 30 models, that gives me a total of 40 models. And if I'm only making my regiments 18, I can make 2 regiments of 18 with the proper command. So that's all you need to do is get and that's only, I think the 30 models was $20. And I think the command pack is 10, 11. So I don't remember. But basically for like $30, you're getting 2 regiments of 20 if you want to do it that way, or a regiment of 24 and a regiment of 18. But I'm doing 2 regiments of 18 and I'll have extra models. So I'm going to be able to do the 9th and the 64th when those eventually come in, because I just ordered those yesterday. Or maybe that was today. And no, it was yesterday. And I know it's going to take a couple of weeks before I get those. So I'm going to hold off on doing those. But I do have the Fusiliers. I could do them. I got them from Magister Militarum, right? And you get 8 in a pack there. And so 3 packs got me 24 figures. So it's too many. But I couldn't break it down to. So I had to get a command, and then I got like marching and standing or something like that. So there'll be a variety of poses. I also noticed I didn't have any British Grenadiers. I have some British Lights. That's no problem. Not very many. And they're not dressed appropriately. In my huge Old Glory order that I mentioned that I ordered a month ago, I did have some Grenadiers in that order coming. So that won't be a problem, right? And my Stone Mountain order, which I placed a Stone Mountain order, I did receive it, right? I got a couple of flag sheets from Stone Mountain. Here, let's see if I can't zoom this camera out a little bit. All right, it took me a second to figure that out. So I ordered a couple more of their flag sheets. This is all Continental. And then I ordered this flag sheet number 2. This is from Stone Mountain. You'll notice that these are almost, well, they are the bottom 6 here, plus that one. Actually, the Queen's Rangers, 3rd British, but these are all regimental colors. There's no King's Guidon colors. So that's kind of a thing. But it doesn't matter. I don't need any of these flags. I do need the 9th, but I already have like 2 others with the 9th on it. Maybe in some other battles I'll need these regiments, but basically I was getting them for the Continentals. But I also ordered some Gambians. Basically they're wicker baskets filled with gravel, dirt, and rocks. And those are like field emplacements. There's 8 of them in a pack. So I think I'm going to take 2 of them and make like a little barricade for artillery, and put like a little berm of dirt, very low berm between 2 of these sets. So there'll be like a firing port, like a crenellation. And then if I ever need to emplace my guns or put them in any kind of like fortification or something like that, I can drop these down. That's what I got those for. But I did order a few packs. Now this pack is, I wish they would tell me. They tell me the pack number is 48, and I would have to look it up on the Stone Mountain website. But these look like they're generals or officers or mounted militia or something, because they're all in bicorns and stuff. I am going to have, and the men are molded onto the horses, and they seem to be just a little bit smaller, very slightly smaller than my Old Glory and my Blue Moon. I'm going to have to compare them, and I'm not really sure what the 48 is. I don't remember what they are. But I got a couple more limbers. Yeah, they come in packs of 2. Got their limbers. There's pack number 10 here. Most of their infantry packs come with 20 models, and a couple of their models are command, 2 or 3, depending on the type of unit it is. So that should be fine for a regiment, because all I need is 18. And these guys are all wearing a variety of hat styles. So I think they are militia. I'm not sure. But they have a standard bearer, drummer, and officer. I did order just 4 standard bearers, because I noticed that was a point of contention with my Old Glory packs. You get 24 figures in a pack, but only 1 standard bearer. For the Continentals, that's no problem. But for the British, you need 2 standard bearers because of the King's and regimental colors. So I went ahead and just ordered 4 of them. You can order them individually. I think you can order every model individually if you want. It's more expensive that way, but I didn't need a whole command pack. This is pack 11. Also might be, this looks like riflemen, because I think I did order some riflemen. I don't really need them, but I ordered them anyway, because I'm going to do some comparisons, and I don't know how many rifles I'm supposed to have. Now, these guys are the British Grenadiers. And they have 2 of their commanders in a separate little micro Ziploc. You don't have a standard with your grenadiers, which is correct because it's only a conglomeration of grenadier companies put together in a battalion. They don't have a battalion standard or King's Color or anything like that because it's not any one regiment. And then these guys look like lights. They're number 50. I guess I could go in and take a look at the Stone Mountain numbers and see exactly what they are. Okay, it says Pack 50. They say these are Iroquois Indians. One of them has a tricorn. I can see where they might be Indians because they're wearing like a tunic, but they're well-dressed Indians. And they're the Iroquois, which I needed some Indians. The 20 British Grenadiers advancing. Yep, British Grenadiers. So now I've got Grenadiers to do. I already know what those are. Militia advancing, mixed poses, mixed hats. Yep, that's what I thought they were. Militia. What about 11 though? 11 is Morgan's Riflemen. Okay, so these guys are specifically riflemen, and Morgan's Riflemen are at or is at Freeman's farm. But I'm not going to use these probably as Morgan's Riflemen, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Okay, and this is the Limbers, and this is Cab. Okay, so this is mounted generals, 5 American and 5 British. But guess what? I went ahead and used the Old Glory packs. I don't think I'm going to need these. And they're not named or anything, so these might go up for sale. Okay, so I'm not planning on using the Morgan's Riflemen because, okay, I'm not going to be using these Morgan Riflemen. I will compare them, but I have an Old Glory pack of Morgan's Riflemen coming in. It's a new pack for them. It's a repackaged package, and they have mounted Morgan in that pack. So they have the Rifleman unit with a mounted Morgan. And the Old Glory models are a little bit more chunky. I might mix some of these guys in there with them, but probably not. So these also might go up for sale. I'm not sure. Okay, so like I said, I put an order in about a month ago with Old Glory, and it's pretty sizable, right? I ordered some French, some Hessians, some like a bunch of packs of Americans, a bunch of packs of British. But in addition to that, I ordered a bunch of Napoleonics too. Mostly minor nations like Brunswick, Nassau, Dutch Belgian. But I think I ordered some Austrians. I don't remember, but it's a pretty big order. I got an email about a week ago from Old Glory, and they said they were finishing up my order because they have to cast. They cast per order. They don't keep everything in stock on the shelf. You have to once you place the order, then they pull the molds out and they cast it for you on demand, basically. So they said they were almost finished, and it was going to go out next week, which is this week. But in that email, in addition to that, they said I won the raffle because I participated in their September raffle, and I won, and I got a free starter army. So I chose the American War of Independence American Starter Army. I debated back and forth if I wanted to take the British one or if I wanted to take the American one, but the American one seemed like it had more things that I needed in my collection. Not 100%, obviously. They don't have any like Hessians or French, or in the British one, I think they have Legion cavalry, but in the American one, they had the 1st and 2nd Light Dragoons, right? And they also had artillery. Both of them come with 5 generals and a few other things. Now, when I get these in, which I hope I get them in any day now, really, when I get them in, I'm going to, I'll have my big order that I ordered already for the store and for me personally. And then, so I'm going to be posting a lot of that on eBay, but I'm going to take a look at figures that I don't think I'm going to need out of that starter army, like maybe the generals or something. And then I might, 5 generals is probably going to come in a separate bag. And I think I want to keep some generals because there's a lot of generals that I don't really need to. I don't need any more generals. As you already saw, I got a ton of generals, and I can just pull any of those out as a brigade commander. Even if I did the largest battle there ever was, I think I've got enough British generals. And plus I got a bunch of Hessian generals. Now I don't have any French, but I'm not in any hurry to get any French. I mean, I do have Rochambeau, but I'm not in a hurry to get any French. The Hessians, not only are there Brunswickers, but there's also regular like Hesse-Hanau and stuff like that. And so I could do a bunch of Hessian units. I'm pretty much going to be scheduling towards scenarios, so it's whatever I need. But I think it's going to be a little excessive on what I am getting in. That starter army is going to hit me just at the right time, and I'm going to be able to put a bunch of stuff on eBay for you guys to take advantage of. Okay, so that's my figures coming in. I have some 6-inch squares, and I've been thinking about my next project, not infantry or anything, is to put some towns together, or town sectors together. And I think I'm going to make little farmsteads with the houses not glued down, so I can move the houses around depending on how I deploy the troops or something. We'll see how that works. I might make like 2 of them might be like a larger plantation or something. Like I might make one of them a garden, a walled garden, and then the other one the courtyard of the manor house and maybe a barn or something like that, so that I could put them both together, 2 of them side by side, and make a larger built up area. I think. I'm not sure how I want to do that, but that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. Because I've got fences and walls and stuff like that, and I can even build my own walls and fences that I can put around the edges. And even then, I don't really have to put walls up because the template itself would represent the town sector. So all it has to be is maybe I put some dirt on there, maybe some grass around the edges or on the corners or something like that, and then I can place houses on there. I might put foundations. That worked really good with my Romans, but because this is a 15 millimeter bigger building, I'm not doing 10 mil. I am going to use the 15 millimeter buildings. Uh, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to use 10 mil. I don't think so. I think I'm going to use the 15 mil for my AWI. They might need to be a little bit bigger. And so I don't know. Okay, so that's the project I think I'm going to be working on next is some town sectors. And I'm not going to do any cavalry, but I really need to do some artillery, but I'm going to wait for my Old Glory order to come in before I do artillery. I have the 3-inch grasshoppers, but I don't really have any artillerists. So I'm just going to wait for the Old Glory order to come in because it's going to have a number of guns. And I'm going to take a few of those guns and put them over on the British side because they need more guns than the Americans. The Americans are only using grasshoppers in the Freeman's Farm battle. I mean, in other battles, they'll use whatever. Okay, and finally, I wanted to mention this. I had an epiphany on the toilet the other day. I was thinking about Land of the Free, believe it or not, and I was thinking, how can I make this game smoother to teach, smoother to play, faster to play, and less headache for the players, stuff like that. One of them is range rulers. Of course, I do range rulers for all my games. So you don't have to measure in inches. You could just put a range ruler down. And if it's got 3, 6, 9, and 12 on it, it should be fine. But in addition to the range rulers, I was thinking unit cards. Maybe a playing card size. I can put it in a sleeve. I could laminate it if I wanted to do like bigger cards, but if I just printed out a 2.5 by 3.5, poker playing card sized unit card, and I put it in a sleeve, I could, and I can get clear sleeves that are clear on both sides. Unlike a lot of your magic cards or whatever, they'll have like a picture on one side and then clear on, the face. Well, there are these card protectors that are clear on both sides, and so I could put data on both sides if I needed to. And what I'm going to try to figure out over the next few weeks is what information would be useful to a player on the table if he had his like unit cards laid out in front of him, like weapon ranges, maybe movement, like how many movement, because in that game you get movement actions and combat actions. So it might tell you like how many of each of those you get, break points, maybe movement ranges, like how far can an infantry move, or if it's cavalry, how far can cavalry move, or artillery, or whatever, limbering and stuff like that. And I was thinking putting special abilities on there as well. There's not a whole lot of special abilities that any unit has, but there are a few. Like some of the Hessians have the German rule, and like riflemen have rifled muskets, but they also have like skirmishing rules and stuff like that. So I was thinking I'd put that on the back side because it would be a lot of text. Or if I could figure out a way to maybe put it on the front and not have anything on the back, then I can put it in the sleeves that have colors. And I can use like blue for Continentals and red for the British or something like that. So yeah, I'm thinking about cards because let's say I take Land of the Free to a convention and there's players that sign up that have never played, right? And I'm fully into that. I'm into teaching people a new set of rules so that maybe they get into it or whatever. And I could say, okay, you have Poor's Brigade. Here's a card for Poor, and this is all of his abilities, and these are the units that are under him or whatever. And then here's another card of like the New York Regiment, and this is all of its stats. And here's another card of the Virginia Militia or something, and put the stats for that. And so all I would have to do is explain a card. I could pull a card out and I can say, every unit should have a card, and this is what it has. It has like how many movements it can take, how many fires it can take, special rules, and then how far it can move, how far it can shoot. And then now I thought about putting a picture on there, like photographing my regiment and then putting that on the card. But I'm thinking that that's unnecessary, and it would just take up space on the card. In that space, I could be putting stats. I was kind of getting this idea from a game called Battlefront. Battlefront has little unit cards like it's World War II. It has medium machine gun or engineer platoon or rifle platoon or Fallschirmjägers or British Paras or whatever. Every one of them's got its own little stat, but its own little card, and the card has little symbols on it. And if you don't know what those symbols mean, you would be a little confused at what it can actually do. Now, I don't want to make it 100% everything on the card, because maybe there's modifiers that unit gets. Well, I'll put those on the card. But then there might be situational modifiers, like if you're behind a fence, or if you're in the woods, or if you're fording a river, or something like that. And then in those cases, they would have to be on a quick reference sheet. So there's still going to be a need for a quick reference sheet, but you're cross-referencing all of your numerical data from the card onto the quick reference sheet. Now, I'm going to have to go through the rules with a fine-tooth comb and kind of, let me point this out. I've never played this game. I've only imagined playing this game. I've watched other people play this game. So I need to go through the rules and find all the information about a unit that a player might want at their fingertips and put that on the card. I don't know what that information would be. There might be break levels or stuff like that. And if I laminate them, I could use little dry erase pens or whatever, and I could mark, on the card. But I don't want to do that. Oh, that would be a lot like the old Robotech, the Robotech miniature game, where when you take hits, you mark it off on the laminated card, and that worked really well. But I could see where that would maybe get smudged. Maybe someone might accidentally erase one of their hits, or something like that. And then I also want to figure out a way, or figure out what kind of markers I need. I know there's a company out there that sells a set of markers already for the game, like Disordered and stuff like that. But I can make tokens, I can make markers. I can take just some small bases and just write on them or print something out and glue it on there. Because that's what I did with my battle group. The chits that you draw for casualties, I made those out of like 1-inch square bases, and then I printed and cut it out and Elmer's glued them on. So when you reach in, you're getting a number or a special action. This is not a card-driven game. This is a dice-driven game where you roll for initiative and stuff like that. So you don't have to, not like Soldiers of Napoleon where you have to draw a card, or Meg where you're drawing cards for command. It's not like that. So I won't need, so the only cards that you'll have is one card per unit that's under your command. So you might only have, like, if players are playing brigades, they might have 6 cards, you know. They might have less than that. Like Morgan, he's only got 2 units. So Morgan himself and then 2 units. So that's only 3 cards. So it just depends on if that would be feasible. If there's too many variables or too many numbers, then what I'll try to do is put it on 2 sides. And if there's still way too many, then I will just not do the cards. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be looking at cards, looking at making some cards. All right, guys. Well, that's my American War of Independence update for my Freeman's Farm, Land of the Free. If you were interested in shopping for your own American War of Independence figures, or World War II, or Napoleonics, or Sci-Fi, or whatever, go to my eBay store, which is Wargaming in Miniature. I have two specials going on right now. I have free shipping on any order over $50. So if you order a couple of Victrix bags, you're going to get $50. So you get free shipping. In addition to that, if you order 3 items or more, you get 20% off of everything you order. So definitely go there, check that out. I'll be putting all that information out again during my store news update later tonight. So, okay. Plus I got those Coke bottle goggles. This is a 2.5 magnification. See how it's blurry when it, but if you hold your model close, it actually is not blurry. That's like a perfect. And it's got a light on it. It's pretty cool. Rechargeable battery and all that. It also has a head strap that I'm not using. So I'm thinking, I don't know what unit I'm going to do next. I still have a couple of commissions that I have to finish, which are, but they also need to be paid for. So I'm still waiting on that. All right, guys, that's it. So I'll catch you in the next video, and thank you for coming out and checking this video out. See you next time.